to our webinar. My name is Stana. I am a senior global consultant here in the UK, but I originally am from Melbourne, which is good. So I guess no better person to be giving you some tips and tricks for Australia because I am Australian. Yeah, Ella, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. As you guys can all hear, I am very much not Australian, um, but my name is Ella. I am a global recruitment consultant based in Newport, and I haven't actually been to Australia yet, although I have taught abroad. I taught on and off for, gosh, 3 years in Australia, in America. They all begin with A. They're the same place, right? I kid. But yeah, so I'm super excited. I am a big believer of travel and experiencing the world. And I think I can speak for both of us to say that we are so excited that you guys are even considering it. It is honestly the most life-changing experience.
Definitely. And yeah, we're here to just, I guess, provide you with some tips and tricks on, what to expect when you head out to Australia and how, to best prepare yourself for your travels as well. Um, so just to start off, obviously, like I was said before, so Ella is our global opportunities consultant, and I am also a global opportunities consultant. I'm based in London. Beautiful. So a little bit about what we'll be covering. So we'll do a bit of an introduction to ANZUK Education, just so you're a little bit of, you're aware of what we do, who we are, why you move overseas, a little bit of an overview of the academic year. We have a different academic year to here in the UK, and quite a few countries as well, to be fair. Your specified regional work, when and where to live in Australia, how long is the flight? I mean, you guys call a long flight 4 hours. We call a long flight 24 hours. So bit to cover there as well. The Indigenous culture, Aussie events, making friends, some slang and some must tries, and then we'll leave some time at the end for some questions. Ella.
Absolutely. So, I mean, one of the biggest questions I think anyone who's thinking about teaching abroad is why teach abroad? And I think even just the traveling abroad is such an incredible thing, but the teaching abroad brings forward such a wealth of personal growth. It allows you to sort of step out your comfort zone, but still in some level of familiar setting. Developing more cultural awareness that you can either bring back to your home country or develop as you continue traveling the world, and you get to experience living in another country, which both Stana and I can attest to is such an incredible opportunity. It really does change your outlook on life. And just because you're teaching abroad, it doesn't mean that your career kind of goes at a standstill, particularly working with ANZ UK. There's still a lot of opportunity for career development. Overseas teaching is really quite highly regarded globally. It shows that you're adaptable, you're available, and you're willing to jump in feet first. And it's quite financially rewarding, especially as a Brit going to Australia. It is an incredibly financially rewarding experience because they pay very well. And yet again, life experiences. I mean, myself, I now have a godson in America because my best friend is out there. He's 7 now, which makes me feel really old. But, I have these life experiences that I'd never have otherwise. I wouldn't know Stana if she hadn't chosen to come abroad. You make so many incredible connections. And particularly with ANZ UK, there is such an incredible expat and educator community.
Beautiful. Well said. Ooh. So a little bit about the academic year. So as mentioned earlier, Australian academic year is a January to December year. So we actually followed the calendar year, which is not confusing. I remember the first time I came to the UK, they said, yeah, so we follow September to July. And I was like, sorry, what? I don't understand that. But it makes so much sense because obviously summer holidays, summer is July, August, September. So it makes a lot of sense. Actually, I think it's June, July, and August to be fair. But anyway, so just a bit of information on what type of work is available throughout the terms. So we have got term 1, so this is obviously term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4. So for consistent CRT, April to September is a great time frame to arrive and to get some good consistent CRT. Now, CRT is an abbreviation for casual relief teaching, which is the equivalent of supply work, which I know a lot of the Brits question me. They're like, what's CRT stands for? Early term 1 and late term 4 can be slower. Now, if you can imagine, term 1 teachers have just had 6 weeks off, so they are coming back from their own holidays because it is summer in Australia in December, January, and February. So they've just come back from their own holidays 6 weeks, and it's not really common for them to take some time off. So CRT usually is a little bit more quiet. And then in term 4s, you just have to think, we've got our A-level equivalent students, so our year 12s, that do their exams in about October, November. So that just means that the educators that were covering those year 12 classes can then cover those, I guess, CRT classes for the school. So that's why the term 4 is a little bit more quiet. So that's why we say term 2 and term 3. A lot of Australian educators like to head on over to Europe for the European summer, travel good 24 hours to get there, and they take the time off, and it's the great exchange, I like to call it. Now, contracts can start during any term, and there isn't really a time frame for when it's best to arrive for a contract. Depending on when you do arrive, if there is a contract going, you'd be able to secure that. Now, each state has its own state teaching registration application and can impact the start times, but obviously have a chat with us, and we will guide you in the best way forward. Like it says there, each location is different, but also your plans are quite different. So it's very unique. So that's why it's best to have a chat with us, and we can best support you, whilst we also understand your plans and what you're aiming to do as well.
And probably one of the other most talked about questions is, when do you start talking to us? And honestly, it is never too early. And I cannot stress that enough. You got to think about it as, we want to make this as comfortable for you as possible. Now, there will be certain things that have certain time frames, things that you can only start at certain points of the year, all that kind of jazz. But that's what we're here to help with. But the earlier we know you're heading out, the earlier we can kind of prep you on that, give you if you're anything like me, the reading material. I love a leaflet or an info session. I'm one of those. So I am a big believer of this. The way it starts with us is really simple. You book in an initial contact with either myself, Stana, or one of our team. What this is basically a chat through, like Stana said, to kind of create that incredible personalized plan of what you're intending to do, helping you through picking states, timeframes, anything like that. We're basically here to give you the information and help get it sorted. Once you are kind of in that process of, you've picked where you want to go, you're beginning to get things moving, we then give you contact to the Australian consultants. So you end up with one of us here in the UK and one of us in Australia, and we help you through the process. Then you go through your compliance, and our compliance team will contact you to organise registration forms, police checks, that sort of stuff. And then you pop into the office and register. And this is when you have booked your flights, you're booked, you're confirmed, you come in, you get yourself cleared for work, and we get you out into the classroom. It really is as simple as that. It can feel like a very big process, but with ANZ UK here to kind of help you through, it turns it from a big scary process to something you don't even have to think about. You just need to worry about making sure you pack enough sunscreen, because if you're pale like me, which most Brits are, unfortunately, you're gonna burn if you don't pack that sunscreen.
Perfect. Now, specified regional work. So this obviously doesn't apply to people that hold a British passport. You don't need to do your specified regional work, but if you do hold a Irish passport or your EU passport, you need to complete specified regional work, I guess, in order to extend your working holiday visa for that second year. So you must complete 88 days of specified regional rural work within your first year. So this could be hospitality, agriculture, tourism. It cannot be education. And essentially, you would need to do this within the first year so that you can apply for your second year. Um, yes, things to note. You can break up the 88 days. So you don't need to do 88 days. So you can do your term work as a teacher. And on your holidays, if you're wanting to smash out the, tourist, the regional work, you can. But the best time to complete it is between November and February because that's when we have our 6-week holidays. And then best way to find work is through connections. So people that know people, obviously, you'll be fine when you get down there. You'll find your way and you will be able to secure something.
And of course, there is a lot of life admin. I'm sure we know what life admin's like in general, but obviously you are moving to the other side of the world, so there are some kind of things that we recommend you just start thinking about before you head on out. So a big one would be to pick a bank before you go and notify your bank at home and plan how you're going to be transferring your money. Um, this is something that's quite easy to find online. You can kind of look through, and we do have a Facebook group that you guys get added to where you can ask for tips and tricks and advice for life admin when the time comes. UK and Irish passports, they Irish passport holders receive reciprocal healthcare. So you can set up your Medicare card on arrival. That does mean that if you have a UK and Irish passport, you don't need to worry so much about the travel insurance. EU participants will still need to get that. Teaching Australia info pack that we send out actually has tons of information about all the different life admin things that you might find you need. And you get that after your initial call with us. But I will say my biggest question that I think I get about life admin is about accommodation. And accommodation can feel quite daunting, especially when you're trying to travel across the world and you're worried about where you're going to live. I would say, honestly, your easiest bet is to book in an Airbnb, hotel, or a hostel, or if you've got friends and family, on their couch for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how fast you want to be getting out into the market. And make sure that whenever you are looking for apartments, you see it before you sign. It sounds really simple, but it's a really easy way to fall for slightly dodgier things is to just sit online, sign a contract without ever having walked in and seen the place. That's a big no-no. Always make sure you see it and that you're happy with the location. And utilize Facebook groups. Like we say, we do have our educator Facebook group. Sometimes rooms, flat shares come up on there, but there are other Facebook groups you can find as well, and factor in furniture. So if you're looking at this, look at the price, see, does it include furniture? Do I need to buy anything? Do I need to budget for that? Those are kind of my top tips and tricks, probably the most asked questions. I don't know if Stana has any asked questions as well that you get a lot of, but accommodation is definitely mine.
Yeah, definitely same. That covers most of the answers, to be fair. Sorry, the my clicker wasn't working and it kept clicking next, so I'm very sorry about that. Where and when to travel? So this is a good question. Australia is, I like to say it's a floating rock in the middle of nowhere because it is so far away and our travel usually is within Australia. And that's essentially what you want to do because you're heading to Australia, so it's something new for you. So August to March, you know, it's been put there perfectly. The southern regions of Australia, they experience more regular seasons. So the 4 seasons, you can definitely decipher which season you're in. And I guess the more further south you go, the more colder you're getting, the more further away from the equator you are. So, for example, Victoria, I'm from Victoria, Melbourne. So, our summers are quite hot, but our winters are quite cold. So you're definitely getting, your four seasons. Summer and spring is, summer and spring. Summer is not August to March. So no, summer and spring is January to, I'd say around April. March, April, May. So about December, actually no, December to April. So that's our summer and spring, and plenty of sunshine with the odd day of rain here and there. About 25 to 35 degrees regularly. Our winter and autumn is definitely May to November. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting this wrong. I'm getting this so wrong. But our winter is May to July or August, to be fair. But April to July up north is warm up north. Queensland, Western Australia, Northern Territory, New South Wales. New South Wales is a bit of a mix, to be fair. But yeah, it is quite subtropical, and tropical regions experience two seasons, the wet and the dry. So the wet season is October to April. You'll experience a mix of sun and rain, epic waterfalls, but also very humid. So just remember that. And then dry seasons May to September, so plenty of sunshine, average of 35 degrees. Do you want
Perfect.
me to touch on this one just because I have done this flight
Yes.
quite a few times? So
Once or
um,
twice. Absolutely. Go for it.
beautiful. So this is how long is the flight. Now, yeah, it's quite a trip, I'll be honest with you. So, um, if you are, so we'll touch on where you can go and travel to, but if you are traveling from the UK, the flight is quite long. You can find some good deals with like the China Southern or China Air or Air China, I'm pretty sure, to get to Australia, but usually that's about 34 hours travel with like a 10-hour stopover. But usually our Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, they do some good 24-hour trips. So you do a nice long 14-hour flight, and then you do a nice 8-hour flight, or the other way around, depending on how you're going. But if you're wanting to travel to certain places from Australia, you can get to Auckland from Sydney, about 3 hours. Yeah, about 3 hours from the east coast, and about 6 hours from the west coast, which is Perth. To Bali. Now, Bali is a very, very it's a very popular place that Australians like to go and visit. It's the Europe, we say, for Australians, because you go to Bali and you can see an Aussie left, right, and centre. So it's about 6 hours or 6.5 hours away from the east coast, and very, very close to Perth, only nearly 4 hours away. So, yeah, if you're wanting to go, I know a lot of my educators love to go stop at Bali before they head to Australia. That's a good way of doing it. Or maybe on your way out, you can do that, stop in Bali on the way home. Bangkok, it's a little bit more further away, so it's about nearly 9.5 hours on average from the East Coast and 7 hours from Perth. And then Tokyo, which seems to be all the rage at the moment, going to Japan, which is amazing on my bucket list. It's about 10 hours away from the East Coast and the West Coast as well. So, yeah, 10 hours in general. So, there's some places that you can go and travel to when you're living in Australia. Do you want me to touch on this one as well?
It would probably be best,
Yes.
yes.
So, as I am Australian, I think it'd be best for me to cover this one. So our Indigenous culture. So we have the wonderful Indigenous, Australians. in more up north in the Northern Territory, but they obviously reside everywhere in Australia as well, as you know they should. It is their land. So this is the Aboriginal Indigenous flag, and this is the Torres Strait flag. And so you know there are over 500 different Indigenous languages across the country, and different tribes as well. What they call themselves mobs, has its tie to an area. So most places will have their Indigenous name of the town or city as well as the English name. So for example, in Melbourne, it's Naarm. In Sydney, it's Orion. So yeah, it's deep deeply set in our culture, and you will see that when you head over to Australia as well. We do an acknowledgement of country at the start of most meetings. So I'm a huge AFL fan, so Australian Football League we call it. And no, it's not soccer, it is AFL, so have a look into that. But before all of our games, we'll have a acknowledgement of country, a welcome to country. So we ensure that we're respecting, you know, our Indigenous, the Indigenous owners of this land. And then we also have Uluru. So Uluru is one of the most sacred places in the Northern Territory. It's got a lot of history tied to the Indigenous people of Australia. I highly recommend going. You used to be able to climb the rock, but as of 2023, I'm pretty sure, they actually stopped all tourists climbing the rocks, so now you can only see it from afar. So yeah, one place to go and see. Just an FYI, the Northern Territory is hot, like very hot. So just keep that in mind when you are heading up that way as well. No pants packed. Actually, you guys don't call it pants. It is no trousers. Is it trousers?
It's trousers. Yeah, definitely
Sorry.
pack pants, guys, please. Even if you're going to the Northern
Now,
Territory.
now you're going to see how different the, I guess, Aussie words are. So we say for trousers, we say pants. And, you know, all my English friends laugh at me. They say, what? Sorry? So you're going to see when you head out the difference in the words as well. But we'll get on slang a little bit later.
Absolutely. And, you know, there are so many different things that you can see. And I think, for example, I mean, I'm always, even just in a photo, always taken away by seeing Uluru, and the fact that it can literally look that good on a slide on a presentation shows you how important it is that you need to go see something so sacred and magical. If, however, hot, humid, trekking out in the middle of nowhere isn't your business, there are so many other types of events and things that are available to you out in Australia. And there are, as you can see, a huge list of them. AFL is going to be one of the big things you see. I hear about it all the time in the office because I do work with a lot of Aussies. They've got the Australian Grand Prix for those of you that are interested in sort of Formula One. There's an international comedy festival, State of Origin. There's a Mardi Gras. You know, there are so many different festivals, events, and different opportunities for you guys to engage in. So a really big recommendation is just throw yourself in. I'm a big believer of try everything once because you never know what you might like. Maybe cricket isn't your thing, but Boxing Day cricket, that could be an incredible experience just to be able to go home and talk about and say that you did. So never kind of let your fear of falling keep you from playing the game. You know, really push forward and just enjoy every opportunity that's offered to you whilst you're out there. That is how you're going to make such an incredible experience.
Beautiful. Could not agree more. Making friends. Now, this is a huge one. Making friends in your well, making friends as an adult is tough. It's very tough, but making friends when you've just moved abroad is very tough as well. But it doesn't have to be if you put yourself in situations where it can happen organically and you don't need to push yourself really. So making sure that you're joining local sports club. I play netball here in London. I love it. I've made such good friends from it. You know, it depends on what you don't need to play netball. You could play soccer, or you call it football, sorry. You could definitely join, you know, paddle, or, you know, you can join different types of sports so that essentially you can make friends through that as well. And it's a very good way to stay active. Run clubs, they're all the rage at the moment. So definitely joining a run club. We hold ANZUK Educator events. So we have, you know, a very, very good team over in Australia that will make sure all of the arrival educators will, get invited to an event, and you can meet like-minded people that are making their way over to Australia as well. ANZUK Travelling Educators Facebook group, definitely get onto that. That's a good way to meet people. Caroline McKenna, we work with a county down under. She does weekly sunset socials up in Sydney, I'm pretty sure. And then Bumble BFF, that's a nice way. It's like the modern day way of meeting friends. And then a meetup as well. So, you can go to different meetups depending on your interests. So, it could be for books, could be for, you know, knitting, whatever floats your boat, I like to say.
Absolutely so true. And it's not just if you don't like sports, you're not going to make friends. I know sometimes it can really feel like that because often, we focus on the sports because Australia is so well known for its sports. But, my sister has been living in Madrid for the last year and she joined a book club and has made some fantastic friends. When I was out in Australia, gosh, I did so many different weird little things. Like I learned how to line dance. I said Australia again, didn't I? I meant America. But I learned how to line dance. I've never danced in my life, but it was still a fun way. So there are so many opportunities. And another way of kind of throwing yourself in is just kind of embracing yourself in that Aussie slang and trying out some really unique things. I'm going to give a huge shout out because I have finally been introduced to the Tim Tam. I had heard so much about it. And guys, if you are gluten free like me, Waitrose do a gluten free version of Tim Tams and they are so good. Fun random little fact for you, but things like Vegemite and all these different little things that you've seen or heard of if you ever watched sort of Aussie TV programs growing up or you've kind of seen things on social media, give them a try and learn some Aussie slang. So some ones that you will definitely see popping up quite a lot is arvo, which means afternoon. This one always confuses me. Bottolo, which is like a liquor store. We don't even call it a liquor store. That's like a corner shop, or an off license. But yeah, Bottolo is like an off license. Fair dinkum, which is unquestionably good. Sometimes you just got to roll with it. I'm sure there are things that we say that people make the exact same face I just did there. Thongs is cheap flip-flops. It is not what we would call a thong. So when people ask you if you're wearing thongs, please be aware that they are not trying to be inappropriate. It's just the name for cheap flip-flops. Cozies are swimsuits, bathers, swimmers. I feel like that's quite a nice, easily translatable one.
Yeah.
Mozzie, mosquito, I think we've all called them mozzies as well at some point, or other ruder words. But yeah, snag is a sausage, as you do, and
Yes.
yakka is work. And
Yeah, we like to say it's a good saying, hard yakka, which was like hard word. That was hard yakka.
I
But
like that. I'm
you,
gonna start using that one.
yeah, you'll start to catch on to them once you get there. But yeah, it's a very we're known like, for our slang, and it's like I said before, I said pants. Pants means something very different to you guys, but pants for us are trousers. So just something to keep in mind.
And what would your recommendation be, Stana, for one thing they have to try?
Oh, okay. Well, on the I guess topic of snags. So what are snags? Sausages.
Yeah.
Now Australia is known for their get a snag of the Barbie. And the Barbie is a barbecue. So that should be another one that's on there as well. Now there's a place in Australia called I guess what is it called? Wow, it was just on the top of my head then. Um, well, there's a place that actually sells a good sausage sizzle, which is a snag, right? And you need to go to, oh, now I've actually forgotten. I haven't been in Australia for about 2 years, but it's such an iconic thing that you need to go see in Australia. It's just known every Sunday that Bunnings Warehouse, that's it. You need to head to Bunnings Warehouse, and it's like um a I think it's B&Q equivalent. What's your hardware store?
Yeah, we have B&Q or home base.
Yeah, so I think it's your B&Q equivalent, and they do every Sunday. They do a Barbie a Barbie, and you can get a snag, and you can get exactly that. And it's just iconic. It's Australian culture for you to go and get a Barbie from Bunnings Warehouse. So, I mean, if you want to be Aussie, go and do that. Beautiful. Thank you for coming along. We hope you enjoyed this session. Please feel free to send any messages into the chat box and we will answer the questions now. Or if you're interested in making the move over, please send us an email and book in with us. We'd love to help you along your journey.
Absolutely. And, we will make sure that you guys get an email when this video is ready to go live so you can look back at things, maybe practice some of that slang so that you're fluent by the time you get out. And it will have links so that you guys can book in as well so that you can get your Australian journey sorted. And I know we've got some questions being typed out, so we will just give you guys a little bit of time just to write any questions you think of or you're interested in. Oh, thank you, Pollyanna. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really hope that it has been beneficial for you guys as well, just to give you guys a bit of an understanding of some of the lesser talked about things sometimes, and to make sure that anything that you guys saw on TikTok is straightened out, because I feel like half the time I'm correcting random little things that we've seen on TikTok. Please always ask us. That is one thing I will say. Please always ask us. Don't believe TikTok every time. I love TikTok, don't get me wrong, but
Exactly.
you're very welcome,
Beautiful.
everyone.
No worries at all. Please make sure you reach out. And I guess if there's no questions,
Yeah.
um, yeah, well, enjoy the rest of your days.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye.